Xi Jinping just got his ruling power stripped. The latest announcement officially confirms the existence of a ruling body even more powerful than Xi Jinping's personal entourage. Welcome to another episode of Elite Politics. Just as our last video describes the so-called rumors about Xi Jinping losing power, and now we're getting official confirmation via the Chinese state media about a recent monthly Politburo meeting that just happened. This short announcement contains bombshells. On paper, it looks like a total centralization. Xi Jinping is the boss of everything, but actually, it's the opposite of that. Think of it like this. Imagine if you're CEO of a company and you built a bunch of these secret teams that controlled everything and overrode the existing command structure of the company. Well, now you just received a letter from the board of directors telling you, hey, buddy, you have to do things our way now. It's a clear-cut establishment of a new set of regulations that target the existence of so-called leading groups or task forces that turn into committees. We'll talk about that specifically. What Xi Jinping has done over the years to centralize power is to create this body outside of the existing Politburo system. And he essentially formed these task forces that turn into committees for different tasks. For example, there's one for COVID, there's one for the economy, one for national security, the military, etc. And collectively, they were called the Central Committees of Decision-Making, Planning, and Implementation. From what I can gather online, there are 11 of these committees that he's formed over the years, each of them himself as the director. So like I mentioned, at first glance, it sounds like Xi Jinping is centralizing power, but if we read upon what it's saying here, let me read you a quote. These bodies should accurately grasp their responsibilities, insist on planning, deliberating, and grasping major tasks, implement more effective leadership and coordination of major tasks, and ensure that overall planning does not replace others, and that they're in place but not overstepping their authority. And that's exactly the opposite of what Xi Jinping had done with these task forces. He put himself as the director of these leading groups or study groups or task forces, whatever you want to call them, and he essentially stripped the power of the existing government structure. He took away a lot of the officials from the state council, which essentially is like the government of the CCP, and gave them to these committees. If Xi Jinping is the head of all 11 committees, does he even have time to personally command each one of these? And apparently that was the exact point here. While they were on paper helmed by people who were, of course, Xi's close aides or confidants, and the goal here is to take away power from, say, the state council, in reality, it ended up being just him running the show. That's like as if you think about the US equivalent will be like, say, the Speaker of the House, right, Mike Johnson, ran the White House using each of the different committees and their chairman. Actually, that's not as appropriate for analogy. It would more be like if Trump put in a bunch of special assistants to run Congress at each of their committees, like Committee on Foreign Affairs, Committee on Housing, Committee on I don't know, anything, right? Trump will be like the head of all the communities, and he will be the janitor, the director, the I don't know, the kitchen staff, and also the president. It honestly makes me think what other countries would be doing in these kind of situations. It makes me want to travel more, which is why I want to introduce you to our sponsor for today's video, Saily.
I was recently in Taiwan, and the moment I landed, I wasn't connected to the internet. If I didn't know the language, it honestly would be scary. No internet means no translator, no Google Maps, and that's when I saw Saily eSIM. And now I'm not going to travel without it. With the Saily app, everything's set before I even board the plane. One eSIM installed, and that's it. No swapping SIMs or installing a new one for every country. I can hop from Taiwan to Thailand to Turkey and stay connected the entire way. No more searching for Wi-Fi in cafes, no more waiting in line for a card in the airport like I did. Saily offers affordable data plans in over 190 countries. No contracts, no sneaky roaming fees, just reliable fast internet, always ready when I land. Traveling should feel exciting, not stressful. With Saily, I don't worry about being disconnected ever again. Get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily data plans. Use code DavidCI at checkout. Download the Saily app or go to saily.com/DavidCI.
In the current system, there's a lot of problems. First of all, Xi Jinping's in control of everything. So any decision, major or small or minor, gets reported to him. He has to have the final say in everything, right? And the point of this new announcement is to say that whatever you're doing, you can't overreach the existing system. You can't overstep their authority. And because everything depended on him, it made a lot of things inefficient. And everything was sort of a, you report, he decides, that type of situation. So in conclusion, if those leading groups were a sign of Xi Jinping concentrating power, This new announcement is him getting his power stripped, or a restriction of power. In essence, what defines Xi Jinping's era is these extra, bodies that they formed outside of the system, and so now that they're being regulated is equivalent to Xi Jinping's powers being restricted. In the post-Xi time, these regulations are in place to restrict those committees. Now, if you have been following the Chinese politics for a while, you would see how this might be a little bit similar to the Deng Xiaoping era Central Advisory Council, which is essentially you have these elders, these revolutionary veterans of the CCP, actually holding the power rather than having giving the power to the chair or the general secretary. And it is through this advisory council that Deng Xiaoping was effectively the most powerful leader at the time rather than others, even though he didn't hold official titles. Except this time something different. This is not technically a creation of a new body to oversee the existing ones. It's more like a revamp of regulations. So you could interpret this as more of a update or more of a reinforcement of existing rules rather than the creation of more things outside, like extra bodies again. But in my opinion, whether you think this is a new system or not, you still need a system to be in place. Because yeah, sure, you put out this notice and you say that there are regulations in place, but who is actually reinforcing or implementing these regulations? Is it these 90, 100-year-old people from the CCP who can barely get up in the morning, or is there like some shadowy task force in place? Whatever the case may be, you still need actual people to implement this. So maybe they didn't put it on paper, but I still believe now there's ironically a new task force. Maybe it's formed by these elderly people. But the point here is that the power is shifting from Xi's hands into others. And you can say that in the sense of regulations, the new people will be watchdogs, they will be policy planners, they will be even the executives implementing certain policies, and of course the final decision makers. Now, what does that mean for Xi's power? It's obviously restricted, but here's the thing I want to clarify, right? Just because you're restricted in your power, it doesn't mean that your titles are going away. So yes, there's a huge chance, in my opinion, that Xi Jinping could be stepping down from one of his 3 titles, or maybe all 3, or maybe 1 or 2, but the title is not a direct association to power. Just like I mentioned, during Deng Xiaoping's era, Deng didn't have any titles to his name, yet he was the most powerful man in China at the time. So it really does not matter what title you hold. It's more about how your power is based. And for the past decade, it's been Xi Jinping's, and now it's not his anymore. He has lost power. In other words, you can be the president in name only, you're still a figurehead. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Elite Politics. Once again, hope you check out Saley. Link is in the description below, and get your eSIMs today. And if you enjoy the content, leave a like, comment below your thoughts on today's topic. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.